Välkomna allihopa. And I think we all know who is waiting for. Welcome, Patti Smith.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say hello. My whole life, even now, I do everything in the same space. I sleep and I work and draw and take photographs. Everything is in one space. And everything reflects my, my inner world as well as my outer world, my aesthetics, the things that I like, and also my very chaotic mind. I was raised with, there were 4 siblings in a very tiny house, and I never had my own room. And then I lived with Robert, and this was the first time that I had my own space and could make it exactly as I wished. And I was working in a bookstore, I was supporting Robert, and I really didn't think of performing at all. I was focused on writing poetry. I was reading Mayakovsky. I was, writing. Sometimes I would be in an underground play or something, but my focus was really to draw and paint and writing poetry.
Isn't it important to still keep that sort of living space or creating space, but keep it in your head, a place where you can create?
Yes, absolutely. I take, Virginia Woolf speaks of having the importance of having a room of one's own, but it's also good to have a room of one's own in the mind. You know, and also I do so many things, that there are so many rooms. There's little compartments in my room. I have the photography room and the writing room and the painting room and the room that tends to my children.
How do you sort of keep that in the room and protect it from intruders?
I have a huge mastiff, a big dog that keeps everybody out. No. I have no fear. You know, it's where my work comes from. And I offer my work to people. There's no reason for them to invade my celestial space or my inner celestial space. I think that an artist gives as much as one can give. And we always have to save a little for ourselves. Not in a selfish way, but so that we can constantly rejuvenate or have something new to give. I think there's two aspects of creation. One is, as William Blake speaks of, we all possess the creative impulse, and all of us, have the right to express ourselves. It's why so many teenage girls write poems, or everyone expresses themselves. The amateur, or now in our culture, on the internet, thousands and thousands of people writing their own songs, putting out their own CDs, taking their own photographs. The creative impulse in our present culture is universally explored. And I think that's a good thing, and I think it's important. But I also believe that there are special instances where people have a true calling. It's another level. It's just as everyone can cook, but certain people are blessed and become great chefs, and they cook in a mystical way. Or we can all grow something, but certain people create gardens that are like paradise. And I believe in this special calling. So I think there is the universal aspect where all man creates, but there is another level where certain people are called to nourish the people. And then you have our great poets, You know, you have Raphael, or you have Shakespeare, or you have, you know, our most gifted people that have given Brancusi, whoever these people are. And I think that's there. So there is the democratization of the creative impulse, but also the higher calling. And I believe in both. I entered rock and roll in such a strange way, sort of politically in a way, because my first ambition was to infuse blood and new life in poetry, because I went to many poetry readings and they seemed extremely boring, and I wanted poetry to be more alive. And I invited Lenny Kaye to give me some sonic landscapes to read my poetry over. And, you know, in time we developed, he would play 3 chords, he and my pianist Richard Soul, and I would go from a poem to fusing it with Gloria, or fusing it with some other rock and roll song. Well, Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine, I wrote when I was 20, probably in 1967. And I wrote it as a philosophical statement, and not in opposition to Jesus, because I think Jesus was a great revolutionary and a great master, but I still felt that I wanted to take responsibility for my own actions. And it was more of a declaration of existence than something against Jesus Christ. But I wrote it when I was quite young, and it evolved. I would read it as a poem, and it just happened organically. Lenny and Richard and I were in our practice room, and I asked them to play a simple chord structure under it, and it was like A, D, E, or something very, I don't know, it's 3 chords. And I liked the rhythm very much, and I said, well, is there a song that has those chords? And Lenny said, about 1,000 of them. And I said, well, like what? And he said, well, like Gloria. And then I thought, Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine. Gloria. It seemed very, you know, heralding. And so I said, well, we'll try that. They wouldn't let rock and roll go into certain areas of Ireland in the 70s. I wasn't allowed to bring my band. So my late pianist and I went by ourselves. And we went to Dublin and went to a church that a priest arranged to have young people who were having difficulties, some wayward, some very poor, and give them a place to talk. And Richard and I visited, and we performed for them and talked to them. And one young boy, a very beautiful young boy, said that he wished that he could have a band, but he didn't think that would happen. And I said, of course you can have a band. You know, rock and roll belongs to the people. You have the right to enter the arena of rock and roll as much as anyone. And I was a poor kid from New Jersey. I did it. You can do it. And that boy turned out to be the drummer of U2. So,
you seem to be, it's quite a good thing to be a starstruck.
Oh, I'm starstruck all the time.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because tomorrow at the ceremony I will meet Henning Mankell, who's one of my favorite contemporary writers. I'm thrilled that I'm going to meet him. It's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. I can't believe that I'm going to meet him after reading all of his books, and so it's a happy part of life. I've met. I was in a hotel in London, and I got in the elevator, and one of my favorite actresses also got on the elevator, and we were looking at each other, both starstruck. And it was like I was saying, "You're so great," and she was saying, "No, you're so great," and I was saying, "No, you're so great." It's fun, you know. There's nothing wrong with it, and I know my own worth. I'm proud of the work that I do, and I have a sense of myself. But I'm always excited and happy to see what people do. The new generation, as well as people I've admired through the decades.
Who do you think should be awarded the Polar Music Prize next year?
Oh, I would never say that. That is not my duty.
No.
I think the Polar Music Prize people know what they're doing.
Okay, they do. Thank you, Patti.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming.